Here are the most recent deaths in the national news, as reported at Legacy.com in the second week of November 2025. Visit Legacy.com to read full obituaries for most of the people featured in this video and leave your own condolences on their Legacy page. Musician Gilson Lavis died November 5, 2025 at his home in Lincolnshire, England at the age of 74. He was the drummer for Squeeze in the 1970s and 80s, playing on classic new wave tracks like Tempted, Black Coffee in Bed, and Hourglass. Lavis is also being remembered as the drummer for Jools Holland's Rhythm and Blues Orchestra alongside former Squeeze bandmate Holland. Scientist James Watson died November 6, 2025 at a hospice in East Northport, New York at the age of 97. He shared the 1962 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for his work to help define the double helix structure of the DNA molecule, one of the biggest scientific breakthroughs of the century. Watson is also being remembered for his best-selling memoir, The Double Helix, which told the story of his landmark discovery alongside Francis Crick and Rosalind Franklin. Basketball player and coach Lenny Wilkens died November 9, 2025 at his home at the age of 88. He was a three-time inductee into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, beginning in 1989 for his playing career. He was a 9-time All-Star in the 1960s and 70s, and his number 19 jersey was retired by the Seattle Supersonics. Wilkens is also being remembered for his long and successful coaching career, which included leading the Supersonics to the 1979 NBA championship, being named Coach of the Year in 1994, and helping coach Team USA men's basketball to a gold medal at the 1996 Olympics. Astronaut Frederick "Rick" Hauck died November 6, 2025 after living with Parkinson's disease at the age of 84. He went to space 3 times on the space shuttle, piloting a mission in 1983 and commanding missions in 1984 and 88. He is being remembered for commanding the first spaceflight after the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. Hauck was a U.S. Navy veteran who served from the 1960s until his retirement in 1990. TV host Quentin Willson died November 8, 2025 after a short battle with lung cancer at the age of 68. He was a longtime co-host of the British motoring TV shows Top Gear, Britain's Worst Driver, and Fifth Gear. Wilson is being remembered as a dedicated enthusiast of all kinds of cars, from classics to electric vehicles. Football executive Paul Tagliabue died November 9, 2025 at his home in Chevy Chase, Maryland. He died of heart failure at the age of 84. He was the commissioner of the NFL from 1989 to 2006, whose major influence on the game was recognized when he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2020. Tagliabue is being remembered for pausing the season in response to the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, and for helping keep the Saints in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. Filmmaker Lee Tamahori died November 7, 2025 at his home in Auckland, New Zealand. He died after living with Parkinson's disease at the age of 75. He directed the James Bond film Die Another Day, as well as other Hollywood films like The Edge and Along Came a Spider. Tamahori is being remembered for showcasing the talents of Maori actors in Once Were Warriors and other films made in his home of New Zealand. Actress Sally Kirkland died November 11, 2025, in hospice care in Palm Springs, California, at the age of 84. She won a Golden Globe, an Independent Spirit Award, and a Los Angeles Film Critics Association Award for her performance in the 1987 movie Anna, and she was also nominated for an Academy Award. Kirkland is also being remembered for such movies as The Sting, The Way We Were, JFK, and Bullseye. Actor Tatsuya Nakadai died November 8, 2025, at a hospital in Tokyo. He died of pneumonia at the age of 82. He had roles in several movies by legendary director Akira Kurosawa, most notably in Ran, in which he starred as the warlord Hidetora Ichimonji. Nakadai is also being remembered for his performances in the Human Condition trilogy, Harakiri, and many other classic Japanese films. Musician Cleto Escobedo III died November 11, 2025, at the age of 59. He was the longtime band leader of the house band on Jimmy Kimmel Live, performing on the show for 22 years ever since its debut. Escobedo is being remembered as Kimmel's best friend since childhood. The host offered an emotional tribute to him in a late-night monologue. A note to remember, sometimes personal information, such as someone's cause of death, is not announced immediately by their family or the authorities. When a cause of death has not been officially confirmed, we do not report on rumors. Every family has a right to their privacy. Basketball player Michael Ray Richardson died November 11, 2025, in Lawton, Oklahoma. He died after fighting prostate cancer at the age of 70. He was a four-time NBA All-Star with the New York Knicks, Golden State Warriors, and New Jersey Nets in the 1970s and 80s. Richardson is being remembered as Sugar Ray and led the league in steals during 3 seasons. Following suspension from the NBA, he continued his professional basketball career for several years in Europe. Singer and songwriter Richard Darbyshire died November 10, 2025, at the age of 65. He was the lead singer for the UK band Living in a Box, who had an international hit in 1987 with their song Living in a Box. Darbyshire is also being remembered for songs like Room in Your Heart, So the Story Goes, and Blow the House Down. Baseball player Helen Waddell Wyatt died November 11, 2025, in her sleep at the age of 95. She was known as Sis Waddell in the 1940s and 50s when she played for the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, made famous in the movie A League of Their Own. Waddell Wyatt is being remembered as a member of the Rockford Peaches, Springfield Sallies, and Battle Creek Bells. This week was Veterans Day in the United States. Here at Legacy, we honor the memories of our loved ones who served. At Legacy.com's Veterans Memorial, you'll find beautiful life stories. Like this U.S. Army veteran from Houston who went on to serve a distinguished 40-year career with the Houston Fire Department. This big-hearted force of nature from Vermont who drove school buses, ran a summer girls' camp, and served proudly in the Army National Guard. And this Colorado grandfather, a retired lieutenant colonel who served in Iraq and later rode in the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. At Legacy.com, any family can publish a free obituary for a veteran thanks to our partners at Military Times. Just visit Legacy.com and click to enter the Veterans Memorial. In addition to featuring current deaths in the news, Legacy.com also honors the lives and legacies of notable people who died in the past. Here are some of this week's anniversaries. 5 years ago this week, game show host Alex Trebek died at the age of 80. He became a beloved TV star as the longtime host of Jeopardy! 20 years ago this week, professional wrestler Eddie Guerrero died at the age of 38. His catchphrase, "I lie, I cheat, I steal," helped make him one of the most popular WWE heels of his time. 35 years ago this week, actress Eve Arden died at the age of 82. She won an Emmy Award as the star of Our Miss Brooks, was Oscar-nominated for Mildred Pierce, and played the principal in Grease and Grease 2. Actor Charlie Robinson was born 80 years ago this week. He died in July 2021 at the age of 75. He was best known for his long-running role on the sitcom Night Court as court clerk Mac. Actor and comedian Jonathan Winters was born 100 years ago this week. He died in April 2013 at the age of 87. He was a pioneer of improv comedy, also beloved for his roles in movies and TV shows like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World and Mork and Mindy. Every week in the United States, flags are lowered to half-staff to honor the lives of Americans whose communities are mourning their loss. Here are the most recent half-staff memorial flag honors. Flags in Minnesota have been lowered to honor the memory of Farmington police officer Pete Zajac. Flags in Massachusetts have been lowered to honor the memory of U.S. Army Private Alfred Thomas Langevin, who was killed in action during World War II. His remains were recently identified and returned home for burial. Flags in Alaska have been lowered to honor the memory of former State Representative Brenda Italy. Flags in Iowa have been lowered to honor the memory of former State Senator and Board of Regents member Larry McKibben. You can read more about the lives of the people featured in this video on Legacy.com. Follow Legacy.com on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube to stay up to date on national news deaths.